Welcome to this new episode of The Disabled Life. The purpose of this podcast is to tell people how I live my life. The name I'm using on the podcast now is The Disabled Guy, because I felt that you needed to hear something as opposed to just my voice there. I'm a disabled male living in Florida with cerebral palsy. I'm here to tell you how I live my life and some of the volunteer work that I do and how I managed to do it with cerebral palsy. Without further ado, let's go into the episode. For those of you that don't know or that haven't followed me in a while, sorry, I'm an amateur operator along with a volunteer examiner. What that means is, I have the privilege and the accreditations to sign to approve and sign a amateur radio exam. Yes. What I'm going to talk to you about today is the differences on how things are done now as opposed to when I started. Okay, when I started doing amateur radio exams, we had to do them on paper. What I meant by on paper is that, okay, the candidates would take the test in person with us at a test site, like for example, Miami-Dade Emergency Operations Center, or Miami-Dade EOC, or any club, any place like that. It could be even done in a house. So, so then we take that and we would hand grade that, like teachers have an answer sheet, and we would grade that by hand, and we would count them up, and we would do everything like a teacher does or a college professor in the old days. So we would do this. So we'd go ahead and fill out the forms and sign the paperwork. What it meant that when we sign the paperwork, what it means is we're approving and people pass the exam. We would have to sign one paper for us called a VE roster, and another paper, and the candidates would have to sign the VEC 605, and then when they pass the exam, they'll fill that out. When they pass the exam, we would sign accordingly if they passed, and also we would initial on the test answer sheet itself. We would initial to tell the VEC who checked the exam, the individual piece of paper exam. Then we would take a processing fee of $15 for the American Radio Relay League, which is my accrediting agency. So we take it and we sign the paperwork. If they pass it, we would sign it, and then we would give them a certificate of completion, which meant that we would go ahead and sign our paperwork. We signed this paperwork. As a matter of fact, so that people would know who signed it in case the signature could not be read, we would put our call signs. I am not going to publish my call sign at this time because I'm not comfortable doing it on the internet. So that's that. That's how we would do it. At that time. Now to jump to today. Today, I'm still a volunteer examiner, but we do things a little differently. The candidates, nothing changes for them. They would just fill out they do the test online. They do the test in person. They each have a code, an identifying code, and then with that, then they give the paperwork. We give them the test, the paperwork, and then instead of grading it by hand, take a photograph of the paper with a computer. So the computer will grade it, and all we have to do is observe to make sure that everything is right. So at the end of the test session, on the computer or on a mobile phone or on a tablet, whatever you want to do, you go in there and click and click where it says sign. And then once you do that, it's done. So the process has completely changed. As a matter of fact, sometime soon, I cannot say exactly when it is, I am going to bring aboard, with his agreement already, our local volunteer examiner coordinator. I'm not going to mention his name just yet, but yes, he's a friend of mine. I'm going to bring him aboard, and we're going to talk about things from his perspective, how he likes doing this way now, as opposed to the other way that things were being done. Okay, so with that, yeah, it's a completely different system. I enjoy the system better. What pushed the system? It was the situation with COVID. That's what pushed the system. Yes, this one is coming out on Saturday. I'm doing it a little bit early because I have things I need to do on Saturday. I'll be doing things on Saturday. So I wanted to make sure that I have a podcast for you Saturday night. Okay. With that, thank you for your support, and I'll be back on Wednesday with a new episode. In closing, let me say thank you for listening to this episode of The Disabled Life. You can follow me on the following platforms. You can follow me at Good Pods. You can leave comments, messages there. You can also follow me on Twitter at The Disabled Guy. And you can also listen to me on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and many others. Once again, thank you for listening, and I'll also give you my email. My email is Kilo Echo 4 Kilo Echo Yankee, or KE4KEY@gmail.com. Once again, thank you, and thank you for your support, and I'll see you next week. When I recorded this outro, I did not realize that you could also leave star ratings on. I knew you could leave star ratings on Apple Podcast, but I did not know that you could leave star ratings on Spotify. You can also leave comments and messages there. It's something that I would appreciate, and I would actually want you to have that. To repeat this, I'm going to give you my email, KE4KEY@gmail.com. Once again, thank you, and thank you for your support, and I'll be back next week.